What is up, conquistadors? Welcome back to Conk's Corner after a weekend. I am reading Harry Potter every single day for an hour, or every single weekday for an hour. I have not read Harry Potter before. I do not know the twists and turns, the arc. I know some of the characters, but that's pretty much it. So please don't spoil anything in the comments, whether you're streaming live or whether you're on YouTube, because we like to prevent ourselves from being stealers of joy. That's what we call people who put spoilers in any kind of chat. I hope you had a lovely weekend. I am on and off with my neck. Some days it's just debilitated me. I can't really move much. Other days it's back and there's a constant throbbing. So still happening right now. You know, I still got like that pain going on. I can turn my head, but it just sometimes just want to stop moving. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. You're in different parts of the world. I hope your weekend was in some way restful, in some way joyful to you. And I hope this will be joyful to us, because we're doing the Order of the Phoenix. And where we currently left off was Harry found the prophecy. I don't exactly know what the prophecy is, but it's something that links him and Voldemort together. And a whole bunch of, I want to call them the Rat Pack. What's their actual name? Voldemort's minions. I don't know what their name is, but I want to call them the Rat Pack. Don't come through this alley or we'll mug you. The Rat Pack is following them. One got turned into a baby head by Harry. A lot of exciting things are happening. We had to leave off in the middle of an action scene last time. So we're going to pick it back up. Harry and Hermione and Neville just fought back against, I think, 2 or 3 of these Death Eaters. So we'll see where it goes from here. Hey, everybody. Somebody's saying, first time here. Welcome, Daniela Fanguero. Oof. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Happy birthday, Kelly, also on the chat. Your birthday is today. It's the only day you were born. 1 year away from your birth. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, here we go. Can't forget my glasses and the marker, because I cannot read without my glasses. I really need my glasses. Thanks, Joy. Steelers of Joy. Sorry I'm late. That's no problem, Max. You're always on time. Did that work? Kinda. Oh, that made it way worse. All right, friends. Let's keep going, shall we? We're on page 700 if you're following along. But they're probably different page numbers for different books. Okay. Last thing was Harry gave his wand to Neville and says, "You better take this." So they're about to head out the door again to see who is fighting against whom. That's a bit too loud. Here we go. That should make it better. All right, the last line. Okay. Neville kicked aside the broken fragments of his own wand as they walked slowly towards the door. "My grand's going to kill me," said Neville thickly, blood splattering from his nose as he spoke. And the music will not be this. It's the creeper music, right? Harry stuck his head out of the door and looked around cautiously. The baby-headed Death Eater was screaming and banging into things, toppling grandfather clocks and overturning desks, bawling and confused, while the glass-fronted cabinet that Harry now suspected had contained time-turners continued to fall, shatter, and repair itself on the wall behind them. So weird. It's pretty cool, though. "He's never going to notice us," he whispered. "Come on, keep close behind me." They crept out of the office and back towards the door into the black hallway, which now seemed completely deserted. They walked a few steps forward, Neville tottering slightly due to Hermione's weight. The door of the time room swung shut behind them, and the walls began to rotate once more. The recent blow on the back of Harry's head seemed to have unsteadied him. He narrowed his eyes, swaying slightly, until the walls stopped moving again. With a sinking heart, Harry saw that Hermione's fiery crosses had faded from the doors. How, though? Did somebody take them off? Oh, I wonder. So which way do you But before they could make a decision as to which way to try out, a door to their right sprang open and 3 people fell out of it. "Run!" croaked Harry, dashing towards them. "Ginny, are you all—" "Harry," said Ron, giggling weakly, lurching forward, seizing the front of Harry's robes and gazing at him with unfocused eyes. Okay, so something's going on with Ron. There you are. You look funny, Harry. You're all messed up. I don't know what's going on with him. Ron's face was very white and something dark was trickling from the corner of his mouth. Next moment his knees had given away, but he still clutched the front of Harry's robes, so that Harry was pulled into a kind of bow. Ginny? Harry said fearfully. What happened? But Ginny shook her head and slid down the wall into a sitting position, panting and holding her ankle. I think her ankle's broken. I heard something crack, whispered Luna, who was bending over to her, and who alone seemed to be unhurt. 4 of them chased us into a dark room full of planets. It's a very odd place. Some of the time we were just floating in the dark. Harry, we saw Uranus up close, said Ron, still giggling feebly. Get it, Harry? We saw Uranus. Ron. Of course, that's Ron's my comedy keepsake, I guess you could call it, because he'd probably laugh at the exact same things that I do. Squisher of joy, and then Ron is drunk. Yep. A bubble of blood grew at the corner of Ron's mouth and burst. Anyway, one of them grabbed Ginny's foot. I used the reductor curse and blew up Pluto in his face, but... Luna gestured hopelessly at Ginny, who was breathing in a very shallow way, her eyes still closed. What about Ron? Said Harry fearfully, as Ron continued to giggle, still hanging off the front of Harry's robes. I don't know what they hit him with, said Luna sadly. He's gone a bit funny. I could hardly get him along at all. Harry, said Ron, pulling Harry's ear down to his mouth and still giggling weakly. You know who this girl is, Harry. She's loony. Loony, Lovegood. Oh, he's great. We've got to get out of here, said Harry firmly. Luna, can you help Ginny? Yes, said Luna, sticking her wand behind her ear for safekeeping, then putting an arm around Ginny's waist and pulling her up. Well, how cool would a galaxy room be, though? Like miniature planets just floating around. I agree. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway. It's my only ankle. I can do it myself, said Ginny impatiently. But next moment she had collapsed sideways and grabbed Luna for support. Harry pulled Ron's arm over his shoulder, just as, so many months ago, he had pulled Dudley's. He looked around. They had a 1 in 12 chance of getting the exit right first this time. He heaved Ron towards a door. They were within a few feet of it when another door across the hall burst open and 3 Death Eaters sped in, led by Bellatrix Lestrange. Okay, how do you actually say her name? Lestrange? Lestrange? L'Estranger? L'Estranger? Let me know in the chat. There they are! She shrieked. Stunning spells shot across the room. Harry smashed his way through the door ahead, flung Ron unceremoniously from him, and ducked back to help Neville in with Hermione. They were all over the threshold, just in time to slam the door against Bellatrix. There we go.
John's voice is dry. He needs to moisten it with some water.
I love that one, Nathan. That's a really, really good song for that. Okay. Colloportus, shouted Harry, and he heard 3 bodies slam into the door on the other side. It doesn't matter, said a man's voice. There are other ways. We've got them. They're here. Harry spun around. They were back in the brain room, and sure enough, there were doors all around the walls. He could hear footsteps in the hall behind them as more Death Eaters came running to join the first. It is Lestrange, the first one. Okay. Gotta try let you... I think their family's originally French because their family words are French, but most people say it Lestrange. Okay, Bellatrix Lestrange. Luna, Neville, help me! The 3 of them tore around the room, sealing the doors as they went. Harry crashed into a table and rolled over the top of it in his haste to reach the next door. Colloportus! There were footsteps running along behind the doors. Every now and then, another heavy body would lodge itself against one, so it creaked and shuddered. Luna and Neville were bewitching the doors along the opposite wall. Then, as Harry reached the very top of the room, he heard Luna cry, "Callow! Ah!" What is her scream like? She's always like this, so if she's screaming, she's probably like, "Ah!" Ugh, I don't like that sound, but I'm going for truth here, you know? I'm going for truth. He turned in time to see her flying through the air. 5 Death Eaters were surging into the room through the door she had not reached in time. Luna hit a desk, slid over its surface, and onto the floor on the other side, where she lay sprawled as still as Hermione. Oh shoot! These Death Eaters, they're winning, huh? Jeez. "Get Potter!" shrieked Bellatrix, and she ran at him. He dodged her and sprinted back up the room. He was safe as long as they thought they might hit the prophecy. "Hey," said Ron, who had staggered to his feet and was now tottering drunkenly towards Harry, giggling. "Harry, there are brains in here." Isn't that weird, Harry? "Ron, get out of the way, get down!" But Ron had already pointed his wand at the tank. "Honest, Harry, they're brains. Look, Accio brain!" The scene seemed momentarily frozen. Harry, Ginny, and Neville, and each of the Death Eaters turned in spite of themselves to watch the top of the tank as a brain burst from the green liquid like a leaping fish. For a moment it seemed suspended in midair. Then it soared towards Ron, spinning as it came, and what looked like ribbons of moving images flew from it, unraveling like rolls of film. "Harry, look at it," said Ron, watching it disgorge its gaudy innards. "Harry, come and touch it. Bet it's weird." "Ron, no!" Harry did not know what would happen if Ron touched the tentacles of thought now flying behind the brain, but he was sure it would not be anything good. He darted forwards, but Ron had already caught the brain in his outstretched hands. Ooh, this is weird. This is very weird. You know, this seems more like science fiction-y than fitting to the magic world. The moment they made contact with his skin, the tentacles began wrapping themselves around Ron's arms like ropes. "Harry, look what's happened. No, I don't like it. No, stop. Stop!" But the thin ribbons were spinning around Ron's chest now. He tugged and tore at them as the brain was pulled tight against him like an octopus's body. What? This brain is all about Ron, hey? Should have been train of thought instead of tentacles of thought. Nice. Department Mysteries is very weird. It really is. I like it, though. I like it. It's different. "Defindo!" yelled Harry, trying to sever the feelers wrapping themselves tightly around Ron before his eyes, but they would not break. Ron fell over, still thrashing against his bonds. "Harry, it'll suffocate him!" screamed Ginny, immobilized by her broken ankle on the floor. Then a jet of red light flew from one of the Death Eater's wands and hit her squarely in the face. They get knocked out one by one. She keeled over sideways and lay there unconscious. "Stupefy!" shouted Neville, wheeling around and waving Hermione's wand at the oncoming Death Eaters. "Stupefy! Stupefy!" But nothing happened. Probably because he's not saying it right because of the blood in his face. That's why wizards don't need to smoke weed. One of the Death Eaters shot their own stunning spell at Neville. It missed him by inches. Harry and Neville were now the only two left fighting the 5 Death Eaters. Wow! 2 of whom sent off streams of silver light like arrows, which missed but left craters in the wall behind them. Harry ran for it as Bellatrix Lestrange. It smells like a tongue twister. Bellatrix Lestrange. Oh, that really is actually. Bellatrix Lestrange. Harry ran for it as Bellatrix Lestrange raced right at him. Holding the prophecy high above his head, he sprinted back up the room. All he could think of doing was to draw the Death Eaters away from the others. It seemed to have worked. They streaked after him, knocking chairs and tables flying, but not daring to bewitch him in case they hurt the prophecy. And he dashed through the only door still open, the one through which the Death Eaters themselves had come, inwardly praying that Neville would stay with Ron and find some way of releasing him. He ran a few feet into the new room and felt the floor vanish. Whoops! He was falling down steep stone step after steep stone step. Come on, she just thought, this page, I'll put in a whole bunch of, tongue twisters. Yeah, the readers will love that. Very brave, 5v2. One of the Death Eaters shot their... Step. He was falling down steep stone step after steep stone step, bouncing on every tier until at last, with a crash that knocked all the breath out of his body, he landed flat on his back in the sunken pit where the stone archway stood on its dais. The whole room was ringing with the Death Eaters' laughter. He looked up and saw the 5 who had been in the brain room descending towards him, while as many more emerged through other doorways and began leaping from bench to bench towards him. Oh, jeez. There's a lot of them. Harry got to his feet, though his legs were trembling so badly they barely supported him. The prophecy was still miraculously unbroken in his left hand, his wand clutched tightly in his right. He backed away, looking around, trying to keep all the Death Eaters within his sight. The back of his legs hit something solid. He had reached the dais where the archway stood. He climbed backwards onto it. Yeah, that's the stone archway where Harry heard voices before. Totally. The Death Eaters all halted, gazing at him. Some were panting as hard as he was. One was bleeding badly. Dolohov, freed from the body-bind curse, was leering, his wand pointing straight at Harry's face. Potter, your race is run, drawled Lucius Malfoy, pulling off his mask. Now hand me the prophecy like a good boy. Let the others go, and I'll give it to you, said Harry desperately. A few of the Death Eaters laughed. You are not in a position to bargain, Potter, said Lucius Malfoy, his pale face flushed with pleasure. You see, there are 10 of us and only 1 of you. Or hasn't Dumbledore ever taught you how to count? He's not alone, shouted a voice from above them. Neville! He's still got me! I don't think Neville's ever gotten one of those before. Harry's heart sank. Neville was scrambling Neville was scrambling down the stone benches towards them. Hermione's wand held fast in his trembling hand. Neville, no! Go back to Ron! Stupefy! Neville shouted again, pointing his wand at each Death Eater in turn. Stupefy! Stupefy! One of the largest Death Eaters seized Neville from behind, pinioning. Is this a typo? Pinioning. Seized Neville from behind, pinioning his arms to his sides. Do you want to pinion his arms to his sides? Feels like something an evil German guy would say. Get his pinion his ears to his face. No, it doesn't. Pinioning really means that? No. It's such an evil German villain thing to say. Pinion him. Okay. Seized Neville from behind, pinioning his arms to his sides. He struggled and kicked. Several of the Death Eaters laughed. It's Longbottom, isn't it? Sneered Lucius Malfoy. Well, your grandmother is used to losing family members to our cause. Your death will not come as a great shock. Longbottom? Repeated Bellatrix, and a truly evil smile lit her gaunt face. Why, I had had the pleasure of meeting your parents, boy. I know you have, roared Neville, and he fought so hard against his captor's encircling grip that the Death Eater shouted, Someone stun him! No, 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 said Bellatrix. She looked transported, alive with excitement, as she glanced at Harry, then back at Neville.
No! Let's see how long Longbottom lasts before he cracks like his parents. Unless Potter wants to give us the prophecy.
Don't give it to him! Roared Neville, who seemed beside himself, kicking and writhing as Bellatrix drew nearer to him and his captor, her wand raised. Don't give it to him, Harry! Bellatrix raised her wand.
Crucio!
Neville screamed, his legs drawn up to his chest, so that the Death Eater holding him was momentarily holding him off the ground. The Death Eater dropped him and he fell to the floor, twitching and screaming in agony.
That was just a taster,
said Bellatrix. Okay, where is she?
That was just a taster,
said Bellatrix. She's like a motorbike. She's like an evil motorbike. That's what she's like.
That was just a taster,
said Bellatrix, raising her wand so that Neville's screams stopped, and he lay sobbing at her feet. She turned and gazed up at Harry.
Now, Potter, either give us the prophecy or watch your little friend die the hard way.
Harry did not have to think. There was no choice. The prophecy was hot with the heat of his clutching hand. As he held it out, Malfoy jumped forwards to take it. I can never say whether like or hate her. She's like an evil motorbike. That's the weirdest, the best description of Bellatrix I've ever heard. Yeah, okay, this is crazy. Okay, all his friends are done for. Well, Neville's still alive, but, I mean, they're all alive, but he's still conscious. They've got him. They grabbed the prophecy, so I have no idea how they're going to get out of this. No clue. This is one of those good story situations where you genuinely can't think of anything. Then, high above them, 2 more doors burst open, and 5 more people sprinted into the room. Sirius, Lupin, Moody, Tonks, and Kingsley. Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina. That was easy. Just get that Order of the Phoenix in. They're going to save everything. Okay, so they're sprinting in. Most people sprinted the room. Sirius, Lupin, Moody, Tonks, and Kingsley. Malfoy turned and raised his wand, but Tonks had already sent a stunning spell right at him. Harry did not wait to see whether it had made contact, but dived off the dais out of the way. The Death Eaters were completely distracted by the appearance of the members of the Order, who were now raining spells down upon them as they jumped from step to step towards the sunken floor. Through the darting bodies, the flashes of light, Harry could see Neville crawling along. He dodged another jet of red light and flung himself flat on the ground to reach Neville. "Are you okay?" he yelled, as another spell soared inches over their heads. Phew! "Yes," said Neville, trying to pull himself up. "And Ron? I think he's all right. He was still fighting the brain when I left." The stone floor between them exploded as a spell hit, leaving a crater right where Neville's hand had been only seconds before. Both scrambled away from the spot. Then a thick arm came out of nowhere, seized Harry around the neck, and pulled him upright so that his toes were barely touching the floor. Caitlin Oberholt says, Helen Bottom Cart plays the Bellatrix perfectly, if that helps with her voice. No need. We're not basing it on the movies. We're basing it just on adjectives and I'm making it up. I think he's all right. Okay, wait. But barely touching the floor.
"Give it to me,"
growled a voice in his ear.
"Give me the prophecy."
The man was pressing so tightly on Harry's windpipe that he could not breathe. Through watering eyes, he saw Sirius dueling with a Death Eater some 10 feet away. Kingsley was fighting 2 at once. Tonks, still halfway up the tiered seats, was firing spells down at Bellatrix. Nobody seemed to realize that Harry was dying. Oh no! He turned his wand backwards towards the man's side, but had no breath to utter an incantation, and the man's free hand was groping towards the hand in which Harry was grasping the prophecy. Ah! Neville had come lunging out of nowhere. Oh no, that's Neville. Unable to articulate a spell, he had jabbed Hermione's wand hard into the eye hole of the Death Eater's mask. The man relinquished Harry at once with a howl of pain. Harry whirled around him to face him and gasped, "Stupefy!" Okay, Neville. Neville is getting much more badass. Gosh. The Death Eater keeled over backwards and his mask slipped off. It was McNair, Buckbeak's would-be killer, one of his eyes now swollen and bloodshot. "Thanks," Harry said to Neville, pulling him aside as Sirius and his Death Eater lurched past. Oh, man. Sirius is alive! Sirius! I totally thought that, they'd be going off to a different place and then that he would somehow kill Sirius while they were here. So this is good news. I was like, oh no. I hope that doesn't happen, because I felt like it was a trap, which it was, but I thought it was a trap to distract Harry while he killed Sirius. That's what I thought. Ah, good. Okay. Because they totally had that bye moment early in the book. When they went off, they were saying goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. I was like, this seems like a moment in a TV show where they're like, where they finally connect and they say what they think about each other and they have this one-on-one moments early on in an episode. And you're always thinking, why is this happening so early in the episode? Because they're trying to set up your feelings of like, oh, peace and oh, happiness, oh, and closure for this character, and then death comes. So I thought that's what was happening. It was good. I just tried to hurry to the end. What a good news. Yeah, after Christmas. I don't know what that means. Let's keep going. Okay, pulling him aside as Sirius and his Death Eater lurched past, dueling so fiercely that their wands were blurs. Then Harry's foot made contact with something round and hard, and he slipped. For a moment he thought he had dropped the prophecy, but then he saw Moody's magical eyes spinning away across the floor. Its owner was lying on his side, bleeding from the head. Ah! No! What? And his attacker was now bearing down upon Harry and Neville, Dolohov, his long pale fist twisted with glee. Oh, jeez. Man. Tarantalegra! He shouted, his wand pointing at Neville, whose legs went immediately into a kind of frenzied tap dance, balancing him and causing him to fall to the floor again. Now, Potter! He had made the same slashing movement with his wand that he had used on Hermione, just as Harry yelled, Protego! Harry felt something streak across his face like a blunt knife. The force of it knocked him sideways, and he fell over Neville's jerking legs. The shield charm had stopped the worst of the spell. Oh, man. Dolohov raised his wand again. Accio Prof! Sirius had hurtled out of nowhere, rammed Dolohov with his shoulder. Yeah, Sirius! And sent him flying out of the way. The prophecy had again flown to the tips of Harry's fingers, but he had managed to cling on to it. Now, Sirius and Dolohov were dueling, their wands flashing like swords, sparks flying from their wand tips. Man, oh man. So there's lots going on. Okay, Dolohov drew his wand back to make the same slashing movement he had used on Harry and Hermione. Springing up, Harry yelled, Petrificus Totalis! Once again, Dolohov's arms and legs snapped together, and he heeled over backwards, landing with a crash on his back. Nice one! Shouted Sirius, forcing Harry's head down as a pair of stunning spells, not smells. Stunning spells flew towards them. Now I want you to get out of... They both ducked again. A jet of green light had narrowly missed Sirius. Across the room, Harry saw Tonks fall from halfway up the stone steps. Ah! Her limp form toppling from stone seat to stone seat, and Bellatrix triumphant, running back towards the fray. Oh man! There's so much going on here! Whew! Harry, take the prophecy, grab Neville and run! Sirius yelled, dashing to meet Bellatrix. Harry did not see what happened next. Kingsley swayed across his field of vision, battling with the pockmarked and no longer masked Rookwood. Another jet of green light flew over Harry's head as he launched himself towards Neville. Can you stand? He bellowed in Neville's ears, as Neville's legs jerked and twitched uncontrollably. Put your arm around my neck! Neville did so. Harry heaved. Neville's legs were still flying in every direction. They would not support him. And then, out of nowhere, a man lunged at them. Both fell backwards. Neville's legs waving wildly like an overturned beetle's. Harry, with his left arm held up in the air to save the small glass ball from being smashed.
The prophecy! Give me the prophecy, Potter! Snarled Lucius Malfoy's voice in his ear,
and Harry felt the tip of Malfoy's wand pressing hard between his ribs.
No! Get off me! Neville, catch it!
Harry flung... Whoa! Jeez! Harry flung the prophecy across the floor. Neville span himself around on his back and scooped the ball to his chest. Malfoy pointed the wand instead at Neville, but Harry jabbed his own wand back of his shoulder and yelled, Impedimenta! Malfoy was blasted off his back. Damn! A lot of badass things happening in this fight. Oh, man. Okay. As Harry scrambled up again, he looked around and saw Malfoy smash into the dais, on which Sirius and Bellatrix were now dueling. Malfoy aimed his wand at Harry and Neville again, but before he could draw breath to strike, Lupin had jumped between them. Okay, I thought he had fired for a second. No, okay, good. I was like, oh no, I'd hope Lupin doesn't die here, because it felt like he just jumped in front.
Harry, round up the others and go.
Harry seized Neville by the shoulder of his robes and lifted him bodily onto the first tier of stone steps. Neville's legs twitched and jerked and would not support his weight. Harry heaved again with all his strength he possessed, and they climbed another step. A spell hit the stone bench at Harry's heel. It crumbled away, and he fell back to the step below. Neville sank to the ground, his legs still jerking and thrashing, and he thrust the prophecy into his pocket. "Come on," said Harry desperately, hauling at Neville's robes. "Just try and push with your legs." He gave another stupendous heave, and Neville's robes tore all along the left seam. The small spun glass ball dropped from his pocket.
Ah, no!
It's too stressful. Too stressful. And before either of them could catch it, one of Neville's floundering feet kicked it.
Oh, you gods of fate, save these children!
Kicked it. It flew some 10 feet to their right and smashed on the step beneath them. Smashed? It smashed? The thing smashed. It smashed. As both of them stared at the place where it had broken, appalled at what happened, a pearly white figure with hugely magnified eyes rose into the air, unnoticed by any of them. Gandalf? Gandalf, is it you? Harry could see its mouth moving, but in all the crashes and screams and yells surrounding them, not one word of the prophecy could be heard. The figure stopped speaking and dissolved into nothingness. "Harry, I'm sorry!" cried Neville, his face anguished as his legs continued to flounder. It's still funny in the midst of all this tension. "I'm so sorry, Harry. I didn't mean to." "It doesn't matter!" Harry shouted. "Just try and stand. Let's get out of..." "Dumbledore!" said Neville, his face suddenly transported, staring over Harry's shoulder. He's stacking it on, this scene. "What? Dumbledore!" Harry turned to look where Neville was staring. Directly above them, framed in the doorway from the brain room, stood Albus Dumbledore. His wand aloft, his face white and furious. Harry felt white and furious. Oh, damn. Harry felt a kind of electric charge surge through every particle of his body. They were saved. Dumbledore sped down the steps past Neville and Harry, who had no more thoughts of leaving. Death Eaters nearest realized he was there and yelled to the others. One of the Death Eaters ran for it, scrabbling like a monkey up the stone steps opposite. Dumbledore's spell pulled him back as easily and effortlessly as though he had hooked him with an invisible line. Hell yeah, Dumbledore! Only one pair was still battling, apparently unaware of the new arrival. Harry saw Sirius duck Bellatrix's jet of red light. He was laughing at her. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Sirius got a leg up on Bellatrix. That's awesome. Music is a bit loud now. It was as loud as it was before. Yeah, sorry, I can't really do too much there, or can I? It's kind of as loud as it was before. Unless everybody finds that it's too loud. Okay, let's keep going. He's dodging it. He's like laughing at it. Okay, good.
Come on, you can do better than that,
He yelled, his voice echoing around the cavernous room. The second jet of light hit him squarely on the chest. Ooh! The laughter had not quite died from his face, but his eyes widened in shock. Yikes! Harry released Neville, though he was unaware of doing so. He was jumping down the steps again, pulling out his wand as Dumbledore too turned towards the dais. It seemed to take Sirius an age to fall. Oh, I thought it would just knock him back or something. His body curved in a graceful arc as he sank backwards through the ragged veil hanging from the arc. Harry saw the look of mingled fear and surprise on his godfather's wasted, once handsome face as he fell through the ancient doorway and disappeared behind the veil, which fluttered for a moment as though in a high wind, and fell back into place. That's not good. Harry heard Bellatrix Lestrange's triumphant scream, but knew it meant nothing. Sirius had only just fallen through the archway. He would reappear from the other side any second. But Sirius did not reappear. "Sirius!" Harry yelled. "Sirius!" He had reached the floor, his breath coming in searing gasps. Sirius must be just behind the curtain. Harry, would pull him back out. But as he reached the ground and sprinted towards the dais, Lupin grabbed Harry around the chest, holding him back.
There's nothing you can do, Harry.
Get him! Save him! He's only just gone through!
It's too late, Harry.
We can still reach him! Harry struggled hard and viciously, but Lupin would not let go.
There's nothing you can do, Harry. Nothing. He's gone.
What? Huh? Oh. I hope this is just why? What did she hit him with? And what's this? But don't spoil anything in case it's a dumb question, but he just fell in a veil. What doorway? Oh, just like an arch doorway, and he just fell through it. The veil, huh? Expelliarmus is an arc. It's like a death veil. What? No way! This is crazy. I hope he's not really dead. Is he really dead? Oh, man. Well, keep reading. Okay. Chapter 36. The only one he ever feared. Oh, man, what? He hasn't gone, Harry yelled. He did not believe it. He would not believe it. Still, he fought Lupin with every bit of strength he had. Lupin did not understand. People hid behind that curtain. Harry had heard them whispering the first time he had entered the room. Sirius was hiding, simply lurking out of sight. Sirius! He bellowed. Sirius!
He can't come back, Harry,
said Lupin, his voice breaking as he struggled to contain Harry.
He can't come back, because
He is not dead! Roared Harry. Sirius! There was movement going on around them, pointless bustling, the flashes of more spells. To Harry, it was meaningless noise. The deflected curses flying past them did not matter. Nothing mattered except that Lupin should stop pretending that Sirius, who was standing feet from them behind that old curtain, was not going to emerge at any moment, shaking back his dark hair and eager to re-enter the battle. Lupin dragged Harry away from the dais. Oh man, come on now. Really? What? Why? Harry, still staring at the archway, was angry at Sirius now for keeping him waiting. But some part of him realized, even as he fought to break free from Lupin, that Sirius had never kept him waiting before. Sirius had risked everything, always, to see Harry, to help him. If Sirius was not reappearing out of that archway when Harry was yelling for him as though his life depended on it, the only possible explanation was that he could not come back. That he really was. Dumbledore had most of the remaining Death Eaters grouped in the middle of the room, seemingly immobilized by invisible ropes. Mad-Eye Moody had crawled across the room to where Tonks lay, was attempting to revive her. Oh man. Behind the dais there were still flashes of light, grunts and cries. Kingsley had run forward to continue Sirius's duel with Bellatrix. Harry? Neville had slid down the... Oh, Neville. Neville had slid down the stone benches one by one to the place where Harry stood. I'm not going to read any comments for right now because I'm a bit scared of spoilers. Harry was no longer struggling against Lupin, who maintained a precautionary grip on his arm nevertheless.
Harry, really sorry,
said Neville. His legs were still dancing uncontrollably.
That man was Sirius Black, a friend of yours?
Harry nodded. Yeah, said Lupin quietly, and pointing his wand at Neville's legs, he said, Finite. The spell was lifted. Neville's legs fell to the floor and remained still. Lupin's face was pale. Let's find the others. Where are they all, Neville? Lupin turned away from the archway as he spoke. It sounded as though every word was causing him pain.
All back there,
said Neville.
Brain attacked Ron, but I think he's all right. And Hermione's unconscious, but we could feel a pulse.
There was a loud bang and yell from behind the dais. Harry saw Kingsley hit the ground, yelling in pain. What is going on? So many people. Bellatrix Lestrange turned tail and ran as Dumbledore whipped around. He aimed a spell at her, but she deflected it. She was halfway up the steps now. Harry, no! Cried Lupin. But Harry had already ripped his arm from Lupin's slackened grip. She killed Sirius! Bellowed Harry. She killed him! I'll kill her! And he was off, scrambling up the stone benches. People were shouting behind him, but he did not care. The hem of Bellatrix's robes whipped out of sight ahead, and they were back in the room where the brains were swimming. She aimed a curse over her shoulder. Man, there's so much happening. Ugh. The tank rose into the air and tipped. Harry was deluged into the foul-smelling potion within. The brains slipped and slid over him and began spinning their long, colored tentacles. But he shouted, Wingardium Leviosa! And they flew off him up into the air. Slipping and sliding, he ran on towards the door. He kept over Luna, who was groaning on the floor, past Ginny, who said, Harry, what? Past Ron, who giggled feebly, and Hermione, who was still unconscious. He wrenched open the door into the circular back hall and saw Bellatrix disappearing through a door on the other side of the room. Beyond her was the corridor leading back to the lifts. Okay, I have a little bit of a...
Idiot. It's time for John's premonition.
He is going to catch up to her. He's going to corner her. He's going to have an opportunity to kill her. And I think that's maybe the moment that they were supposed to, Snape was training for, that Dumbledore said he needed training for, to overcome his emotions. Because it might be the kind of, the Star Wars, the Force kind of thing, that if he gives into his hate and that kind of stuff, that he would turn out to be more like Voldemort, and Voldemort would gain in power. Maybe that's it. All right. He ran, but she had slammed the door behind her, and the walls were already rotating. Once more, he was surrounded by streaks of blue lights from the whirling candelabra. Where's the exit? He shouted desperately as the walls rumbled to halt again. Where's the way out? The room seemed to have been waiting for him to ask. The door right behind him flew open, and the corridor towards the lift stretched ahead of him, torch-lit and empty. He ran. He could hear a lift clattering ahead. He sprinted up the passageway, swung around the corner, and slammed his fist onto the button to call a second lift. It jangled and banged lower and lower. The grill slid open, and Harry dashed inside. Hey, I'm going to try a different kind of intense music. I don't know how this sounds. Okay, so let me see, first of all, the volume on it. You let me know if this actually works for this kind of thing, okay? I might just switch it back to what we had before. Okay. The grill slid open and Harry dashed inside. Now hammering the button marked atrium. The doors slid shut and he was rising. He forced his way out of the lift before the grills were fully open and looked around. Bellatrix was almost at the telephone lift at the other end of the hall. But she looked back as he sprinted towards her and aimed another spell at him. He dodged behind the fountain of magical brethren. The spell zoomed past him and hit the wrought gold gates at the other end of the atrium, so that they rang like bells. There were no more footsteps. She had stopped running. He crouched behind the statues, listening.
Come out, little Potter!
She called in her baby voice, like,
come out, little Harry!
She called in her mock baby voice, which echoed off the polished wooden floors. So it might be enough.
What did you come after me for, then? I thought you were here to avenge my dear cousin.
I am! Shouted Harry, and a score of ghostly Harrys seemed to chorus, I am! All around the room.
And did you love him, little baby Potter?
Hatred rose in Harry, such as he had never known before. He flung himself out from behind the fountain and bellowed Crucio. Perfect intense music. Good. Bellatrix screamed. The spell had knocked her off her feet, but she did not writhe and shriek with pain as Neville had. She was already back on her feet, breathless, no longer laughing. Harry dodged behind the golden fountain again. Her counterspell hit the head of the handsome wizard, which was blown off and landed 20 feet away, gouging long scratches into the wooden floor.
Never used an unforgivable curse before, have you, boy?
She yelled. She had abandoned her baby voice now.
You need to mean them, Potter. You need to really want to cause pain. To enjoy it. Righteous anger won't hurt me for long. I'll show you how it is done, shall I? I'll give you a lesson.
Harry was edging around the fountain on the other side when she screamed,
Crucio!
And he was forced to duck down again as the centaur's arm, holding its bow, span off and landed with a crash on the floor, a short distance from the golden wizard's head.
Potter, you cannot win against me!
She cried. She's kind of crazy. I'm still gotta find the nuances to her voice. He could hear her moving to the right, trying to get a clear shot of him. He backed around the statue away from her, crouching behind the centaur's legs, his head level with the house elves.
I was and am the Dark Lord's most loyal servant. I learned the dark arts from him, and I know spells of such power that you, pathetic little boy, can never hope to compete.
Stupefy! Yelled Harry. He had edged right around to where the goblin stood beaming up at the now headless wizard, and taken aim at her back as she peered around the fountain. Still can't believe that Sirius is dead. I hope it's not true. She reacted so fast he barely had time to duck. Protego! The jet of red light, his own stunning spell, bounced back at him. Harry scrambled back behind the fountain, and one of the goblin's ears went flying across the room.
Potter, I'm going to give you one choice,
shouted Bellatrix.
Give me the prophecy. Roll it out towards me now, and I may spare your life.
Well, you're going to have to kill me because it's gone, Harry shouted, roared, and as he shouted it, pain seared across his forehead. His scar was on fire again, and he felt a surge of fury that was quite unconnected with his own rage. And he knows, said Harry, with a mad laugh to match Bellatrix's own. Your dead old mate Voldemort knows it's gone. He's not going to be happy with you, is he? What? What do you mean? She cried. The voice kind of annoys me. I'm going to try and change it up.
What? What do you mean?
She cried. That's not much different. And for the first time, there was fear in her voice. The prophecy smashed when I was trying to get Neville up the steps. What do you think Voldemort will say about that, then? His scar seared and burned. The pain of it was making his eyes stream.
Liar!
She shrieked, but he could hear the terror behind the anger now.
You've got it, Potter, and you will give it to me. At your prophecy! At your prophecy!
Harry laughed again because he knew it would incense her. the pain building in his head so badly he thought his skull might burst. Oh man, there's so much going on. Don't worry, the voice is really good like that. A little bit umbragey, that's true. Oh man, so much going on. He waved his empty wand from behind. Let me turn on my fan, it's hot in here too. He waved his empty wand from behind the one-eared goblin and withdrew it quickly as she sent another jet of green light flying at him. "Nothing there!" he shouted. "Nothing to summon! It smashed and nobody heard what it said! Tell your boss that!"
No! She screamed. It isn't true! You're lying! Master, I tried! Do not punish me!
"Don't waste your breath!" yelled Harry, his eyes screwed up against the pain in his scar, now more terrible than ever. "He can't hear you from here."
Can't I, Potter?
Said a high, cold voice. Harry opened his eyes. Oh! Oh, man. Tall, thin, and black-hooded, his terrible snake-like face white and gaunt, his scarlet, split-pupilled eyes staring, Lord Voldemort had appeared. In the middle of the hall, his wand pointing at Harry's, who stood frozen, quite unable to move.
So you smashed my... No, this is his voice, yes. So you smashed my prophecy.
Said Voldemort softly. No, something different.
So you smashed my prophecy.
Said Voldemort softly, staring at Harry with those pitiless red eyes.
No, Bella, he is not lying. I see the truth looking at me from within his worthless mind. Months of preparation. Months of effort. And my Death Eaters have let Harry Potter thwart me again.
Oh, boy.
Master, I'm sorry. I knew not. I was fighting the Animagus Black.
Sobbed Bellatrix. Oh, the stress is giving a little bit of headache and hurting my neck. Oh, man. Actually, though, it's a bit much right now.
Be quiet, Bella,
said Voldemort.
Be quiet, Bella,
said Voldemort dangerously.
I shall deal with you in a moment. Do you think I have entered the Ministry of Magic to hear your sniveling apologies? But Master, he is here. He is blue.
Voldemort paid no attention.
I have nothing more to say to you, Potter,
he said quietly.
You have irked me too often, for too long. Avada Kedavra!
Harry had not even opened his mouth to resist. His mind was blank, his wand pointing uselessly at the floor. Oh, is the music still happening? Yes. Wait. Harry had not even opened his mouth to resist. His mind was blank, his wand pointing uselessly at the floor. But the headless golden statue of the wizard in the fountain had sprung alive, leaping from its plinth to land with a crash on the floor between Harry and Voldemort. The spell merely glanced off its chest as the statue flung out its arms to protect Harry.
What?
Cried Voldemort, staring around, and then he breathed.
Dumbledore!
Harry looked behind him. Oh, man. His heart pounding, Dumbledore was standing in front of the golden gates. Here we go. This is gonna be good. Voldemort raised his wand, and another jet of green light streaked at Dumbledore, who turned and was gone in a whirling of his cloak. Next second, he had reappeared behind Voldemort. Whoa! And waved his wand towards the remnants of the fountain. The other statues sprang to life. Oh, we got some police and stuff outside, so I'm just gonna close this window here. 1 sec. Sirens. Oh man, this is crazy. The police knows what's going on. This is occasion for alarm. The other statues sprang to life. The statue of the witch ran at Bellatrix, who screamed and sent spells streaming uselessly off its chest before it dived at her, pinning her to the floor. Meanwhile, the goblin and the house elf scuttled towards the fireplaces set along the wall, and the one-armed centaur galloped at Voldemort, who vanished and reappeared beside the pool. The headless statue thrust Harry backwards, away from the fight, as Dumbledore advanced on Voldemort and the golden centaur cantered around them both. Woo-wee! So much going on.
It was foolish to come here tonight, Tom,
said Dumbledore calmly.
It was foolish to come here tonight, Tom,
said Dumbledore calmly.
It was foolish to come here tonight, Tom,
said Dumbledore calmly.
The Aurors are on their way. By which time I shall be gone, and you will be dead,
spat Voldemort. He sent another killing curse at Dumbledore, but missed, instead hitting the security guard's desk, which burst into flame. Dumbledore flicked his own wand, the force of the spell that emanated from it. Oh, it's close to 6 o'clock. I'm going to end here. Just kidding. I'm not a jerk. I need to keep reading, or else I won't be able to sleep, not knowing what's going to happen. So we're going to keep on going until I say we stop. Man. Okay. Dumbledore flicked his own wand. The force of the spell that emanated from it was such that Harry, though shielded by the Golden Guard, felt his hair stand on end as it passed, and this time Voldemort was forced to conjure a shining silver shield out of thin air to deflect it. The spell, whatever it was, caused no visible damage to the shield, though a deep gong-like note reverberated from it, an oddly chilling sound.
You do not seek to kill me, Dumbledore,
called Voldemort. His scarlet eyes narrowed over the top of the shield.
Of such brutality are you? We both know that there are other ways of destroying a man, Tom.
Dumbledore... Tom. Calls him Tom. Dumbledore said calmly, continued to walk towards Voldemort as though he had not a fear in the world, as though nothing had happened to interrupt his stroll up the hall. What? He's so badass! Dumbledore is the most badass character.
Merely taking your life would not satisfy me, I admit. There's nothing worse than death, Dumbledore!
Snarled Voldemort.
You are quite wrong,
said Dumbledore, still closing in upon Voldemort and speaking as slightly as though they were discussing the matter over drinks. Harry felt scared to see him walking along, undefended, shieldless. Yeah, because he's a badass. He wanted to cry out a warning, but his headless guard kept shunting him backwards towards the wall, blocking his very attempt to get out from behind it.
Indeed, your failure to understand that there are things much worse than death has always been your greatest weakness.
Another jet of green light flew from behind the silver shield. This time it was the one-armed centaur, galloping in front of Dumbledore, that took the blast and shattered into 100 pieces. But before the fragments had even hit the floor, Dumbledore had drawn back his wand and waved it as though brandishing a whip. A long, thin flame flew from the tip. It wrapped itself around Voldemort, shield and all. For a moment, it seemed Dumbledore had won, but then the fiery rope became a serpent, which relinquished its hold on Voldemort at once, and turned, hissing furiously to face Dumbledore. I'm a snake! Voldemort vanished. The snake reared from the floor, ready to strike. There was a burst of flame in midair above Dumbledore, just as Voldemort reappeared, standing on the plinth in the middle of the pool where so recently the 5 statues had stood. Look out! Harry yelled. But even as he shouted, another jet of green light flew at Dumbledore from Voldemort's wand, and the snake struck. Fawkes swooped down in front of Dumbledore. There he is again. Opened his beak wide and swallowed the jet of green light whole. Ah! What? Oh, that's great. That is so good. Oh, man. I'm a bird. See you guys later. He just gulped up a stream of energy. That is so funny. That is so funny. Oh, man. Okay. That is such a weird thing. Such a weird moment. He burst into flame and fell to the floor, small, wrinkled, and flightless. I thought he was taking off. Oh, okay. Oh, man. At the same moment, Dumbledore brandished his wand in one long, fluid moment. But he dies and relives it all the time anyway, so he'd be fine. The snake, which had been an instant from sinking its fangs into him, flew high into the air and vanished in a wisp of dark smoke. And the water in the pool rose up and covered Voldemort like a cocoon of molten glass. Holy smokes! This is just... Oh, wow, there's so many things happening in this last chapter and a half. Man. Yeah, exactly. It's a phoenix. For a few seconds, Voldemort was visible only as a dark, rippling, faceless figure, shimmering and indistinct upon the plinth, clearly struggling to throw off the suffocating mass. Then he was gone, and the water fell with a crash back into the pool, slopping wildly over the sides, drenching the polishing floor.
Master!
Screamed Bellatrix. Sure it was over. Sure Voldemort had decided to flee. Harry made to run up from behind his statue guard, but Dumbledore bellowed,
Stay where you are, Harry!
For the first time, Dumbledore sounded frightened. Harry could not see why. The hall was quite empty but for themselves, the sobbing Bellatrix still trapped under the witch statue, and the baby phoenix fox croaking feebly on the floor. Then Harry's scar burst open, and he knew he was dead. It was pain beyond imagining, pain past endurance. He was gone from the hall. Wait, he's dead? He was gone from the hall. He was locked in the coils of a creature with red eyes, so tightly bound that Harry did not know where his body ended and the creature's began. They were fused together, bound by pain, and there was no escape. And when the creature spoke, it used Harry's mouth, so that in his agony, he felt his jaw move. What the heck is going on? Oh my gosh. Oh man. Oh geez Louise. Oh golly geez. This is crazy. Oh. This is a lot to process of the last 10 pages.
Kill me now, Dumbledore!
Blind and dying, every part of him screaming for release, Harry felt the creature use him again.
If death is nothing, Dumbledore, kill the boy!
Let the pain stop, thought Harry. Let him kill us. And Dumbledore, death is nothing compared to this. And I'll see Sirius again. And as Harry's heart filled with emotion, the creature's coils loosened. The pain was gone. Harry was lying face down on the floor, his glasses gone, shivering as though he lay upon ice, not wood. And there were voices echoing through the hall, more voices than there should have been. Harry opened his eyes, saw his glasses lying by the heel of the headless statue that had been guarding him, but which now lay flat on its back, cracked and immobile. He put them on and raised his head a little to find Dumbledore's crooked nose inches from his own.
Are you all right, Harry?
Yes, said Harry, shaking so violently he could not hold his head up properly. Yeah, Where's Voldemort? Who are all these... What's... The atrium was full of people. The floor was reflecting the emerald green flames that had burst into flame in all the fireplaces along one wall. Ah, man. And streams of witches and wizards were emerging from them. As Dumbledore pulled him back to his feet, Harry saw the tiny gold statues of the house elf and the goblin, leading a stunned-looking Cornelius Fudge forward. Fudge is here. 1 second, how long is this? Oh, good. Yeah, we got one more page after this. Oh, wow. Cornelius Fudge is here. What is going on? What is going on?
He was here!
Wait. A scarlet-robed man.
He was there!
Shouted a scarlet-robed man with a ponytail, who was pointing at a pile of golden rubble on the other side of the hall, where Bellatrix had lain trapped only moments before.
I saw him, Mr. Fudge! I swear it was you-know-who! He grabbed a woman and disappeared! I know, my son. I know, I saw him too,
gibbered Fudge. who was wearing pajamas under his pinstriped cloak and was gasping as though he had just run miles.
Merlin's beard! Here! In the Ministry of Magic, great heavens above! It doesn't seem possible. My word. How can this be?
If you proceed downstairs into the Department of Mysteries, Cornelius,
said Dumbledore, apparently satisfied that Harry was all right, and walking towards so that the newcomers realized he was there for the first time. A few of them raised their wands. Others simply looked amazed. The statues of the elf and goblin applauded, and Fudge jumped so much that his slipper-clad feet left the floor.
You will find several escaped Death Eaters contained in the Death Chamber, bound by an anti-disapparition jinx, and awaiting your decision as to what to do with them.
Dumbledore!
Gasped Fudge, beside himself with amazement.
You're here!
He looked wildly around at the Aurors who had brought with him. And it could not have been clearer that he was in half a mind to cry,
Seize him!
Cornelius.
I think that was John's first breath in like 15 minutes. Yeah, that was non-stop. That was like that new Adam Sandler movie. What's it called? Something Diamonds. What is it called? Anyway, if you haven't seen that movie, that's also non-stop stress. This was like that movie for the last 50 minutes. Non-stop. Just non-stop, and all these new things and twists and all that thrown in. Serious. I really hope he isn't dead. I hope that's just like a twist that she's throwing our way, because come on now. Uncut Gems, that's it. Uncut Gems. Okay, let's keep going.
Cornelius, I'm ready to fight your men and win.
No, a thunderous voice this time.
Cornelius, I'm ready to fight your men and win. Again,
said Dumbledore in a thunderous voice.
But a few minutes ago, you saw with proof, with your own eyes, that I've been telling you the truth for a year. Lord Voldemort has returned. You have been chasing the wrong man for 12 months, and it is time you listen to sense!
Woo!
Well,
blustered Fudge, looking around as though hoping somebody was going to tell him what to do. When nobody did, he said,
very well, Dawlish. Williamson, go down to the Department of Mysteries and see. Dumbledore, you will need to tell me exactly the Fountain of Magical Brotherhood. What happened?
He added in a kind of whimper, staring around at the floor. Oh, it's a bit different. Where the remains of the statues of the witch, wizard, and centaur now lay scattered.
We can discuss that after I've sent Harry back to Hogwarts,
said Dumbledore.
Harry Potter!
Fudge wheeled around and stared at Harry, who was still standing against the wall beside the fallen statue that had guarded him during Dumbledore and Voldemort's duel.
Here,
said Fudge, goggling at Harry.
Why, what's all this about?
I shall explain everything,
repeated Dumbledore. Yeah, you'd better.
When Harry is back at school.
Dumbledore, more like Dumbledore. I like that a lot. He walked away from the pool to the place where the golden wizard's head lay on the floor. He pointed his wand at it and muttered,
Hortus.
The head glowed blue and trembled noisily against the wooden floor for a few seconds, then became still once more.
Now see here, Dumbledore,
said Fudge, as Dumbledore picked up the head and walked back to Harry carrying it.
You haven't got authorization for that portkey. You can't do things like that right in front of the Minister of Magic. You...
His voice faltered as Dumbledore surveyed him magisterially over his half-moon spectacles. He's so cool.
You will give the order to remove Dolores Umbridge from Hogwarts, said Dumbledore. You will tell your auras to stop searching for my care of magical creatures teacher so that he can return to work. I will give you
Dumbledore pulled a watch with 12 hands from his pocket and surveyed it.
Half an hour of my time tonight, in which I think we shall be more than able to cover the important points of what has happened here. After that, I shall need to return to my school. If you need more help from me, you are, of course, more than welcome to contact me at Hogwarts. Letters addressed to the headmaster will find me.
Fudge goggled worse than ever. His mouth was open and his round face grew pinker under his rumpled gray hair.
You...
Dumbledore turned his back on him.
Take this portkey, Harry.
He held out the golden head of the statue, and Harry placed his hand on it, past caring what he did next or where he went.
I shall see you in half an hour,
said Dumbledore quietly.
1, 2, 3.
Harry felt this familiar sensation of a hook being jerked behind his navel. The polished wooden floor was gone from beneath his feet, the atrium, Fudge, and Dumbledore had all disappeared, and he was flying towards in a whirlwind of color and sound. Holy moly! End of chapter. Whoa-wee! Okay, a lot has happened in that chapter. And a lot still to be cleared up. I mean, I have a feeling that Sirius is actually dead. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I think he's dead. Which sucks! Because the last we got of him was the interaction with him and Harry. That was the last... See? I predicted right. That was... yeah, so... Oh, man, I think he's dead. I think he's actually dead. I want you to take a nap. I want to take a nap just reading this. That's what I want. Everybody to take a nap when I read. Not a bad chapter, huh? No, not at all. Pretty wicked chapter. Feel free to write any questions that aren't leading to anything that's still coming up in there. Yeah, okay. So first of all the tense fights. There's so many different fights in this one. It's not like just one fight. It felt like it was, you know, when you fight a boss in a video game. And it's like, oh, that wasn't my final form! And then, yeah, he takes off his clothes. Then you got a naked end-level boss. So it's basically I wanted Voldemort to be naked. Is what I'm trying to get at. That would be a great final level. Voldemort naked.
Here I am, Potter!
But yeah, that was so intense. Oh man, and Sirius dying in such a... He first laughed. He had some hubris at the end. He laughed when he could have maybe more actively fought her, and then he got hit. And it's a kind of a frustrating thing where you're like, you can't see his body, and you're looking around, and is he dead or not? It's a little bit of a... It's a great death. It's a frustrating death. Do you think the pacing of the rest of the book is worth these 2 chapters? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question, because was worth these 2 chapters. You know, I don't necessarily like, you know, sometimes when there's a TV show and say like, oh, you just gotta get through the first season. That's the second, third season amazing. Or there's some TV shows which I understand is the first 2 episodes are like, you just gotta work through those and then you'll get to the good stuff, right? I don't feel that way about this book. I don't feel like any of the middle was something to work through. I like when pacing gets slow and fast. If it does feel somewhat, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. It does feel somewhat like there is a book plopped into the middle of this book. And I don't know if book 6 will feel the same way. Book 4 didn't. Yeah, it feels like there's a book in the middle. With so many different storylines that they're going through. So, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I had a lot of fun. And it's not over yet, but until now I had a lot of fun reading it, even through the slower sections. Because sometimes the funnest scenes happen there, the funniest stuff. There's not a lot of funny stuff happening in these scenes, and I don't want there to be, because it just drives. The chapter and the writing really drives through that I didn't really want to stop and discuss things. Yeah. No naked Voldemort, it's too far. Now we know why Voldemort is the only one who frightened Voldemort. He was clearly more powerful. Yeah, Dumbledore's a badass calling Voldemort Tom. I agree the beginning, middle of the book isn't slow, unbearable as some people think. Oh, is that a thing that people think? Oh, okay. Well, I don't agree with them. I think it's still very enjoyable, but I've also done it in this format. I haven't sat down and read through. This is also interesting. I don't think I've ever read through a book before reading to somebody. It's a very fun exercise, and it's very fun to read this way. If anybody asked me if I've been reading books this year, I was like, yeah, I have been. Well, to be honest. Bellatrix versus Umbridge. Umbridge is still worse to me. But oh, actually, Bellatrix killed Sirius now. Oh, shoot, I forgot all about that. Still Umbridge, because she just gets her claws in more. This is my second favorite book. Lupin is so underrated. Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to read tomorrow again. Oh, by the way, my osteo appointment for my neck is on Wednesday evening. Totally weird time. So I won't be able to read on Wednesday again. But back tomorrow. Just giving you a heads up about Wednesday, in case you're watching this way and you try to pop into live on Wednesday. But I won't be back on Wednesday. This was such a great chapter. This is such a great chapter. Or chapters. I had so much fun with this one. So I'm interested to see now the whole explanation. It's gonna be Dumbledore giving a whole bunch of exposition at the end. But at least it's gonna explain what was happening in this book, because that's the actually maybe that's my my criticism till now, is that there was a lot of the book of just kind of guessing that, well, you couldn't even guess what was going on. It was just all unknown, a little bit, which makes it a bit less fun, because if you have clues or something that you're like, oh, it could be this, then it makes it a bit more fun to read. So I'm already analyzing the book. I'm already judging the book, but till now that'd be my only criticism of this book. John, have you been reading books this year? John pulls out his laptop. Oh, have I? Okay, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. You're loved. I hope this helped make your day a little bit better, because that's what I want to do with these videos. I'm still reading through it because I enjoy reading. I enjoy connecting with people, performing for you. But at the same time, I hope it makes you happy in some small way. And thank you for those people who are listening in and watching every day. Thank you. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye-bye.